We are live, guys. Good morning. Good morning. All right, all right. It's been a struggle to get out of bed. Let me just tell you that it's been a struggle to do what to get out of bed. I'm like, I want to sleep. My body says sleep, but we got to do what we got to do, right? That's what they say. So I'm super excited. All right. My guest is here. I'm excited. I'm so excited. My guest is here. Finally, I'm like, I'm praying and speaking in tongues. And I'm like, not today. Not today. Today is very important. This tax thing, we gotta understand it. We've got to understand it. All right, so we've got people joining. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Rosemary is just going to quickly let everyone know that we are live. I just posted it as well um, on social media. You know what? We're live, guys. Come and learn from the expert because I have no clue. I have no clue what this is all about, and I know that the government will not care whether you understand it or not. Just follow the rules, or you already know what will happen. And we want to be compliant. We want to be compliant because excuses would not be accepted or tolerated. And I don't want to be the only one that understands it. Otherwise, she was going to explain to me. I said, see, take a step back. Let's bring it to the community. She's like, Kiki, yes, 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 yes. Your community it is. Let's, explain it to every entrepreneur, every business owner, so we can have the knowledge, we can have the information, and we are not, defaulting or anything. So I'm excited. My sister, my friend, the money bag. She's the money bag. Oh. Mhm. She's laughing. She's the money bag. So I'm just trying to put it everywhere so that ah, network be compliant too. The network has to be compliant. We want more people to join. We want more people to join so we can get started. So we can get started, okay? While we're waiting, I mean, truthfully, we're going to start with no matter the number of people we have here because it's Saturday and I know that, there are so many things we would all want to do today. For those of you going for Owambe party, you want to like Kiki, you better say what you want to say right now. Let me go dress up. My makeup artist is waiting. So it's okay. We will not take much of your time, but it is truly imperative that we understand what this is all about. Very, very key that we understand it. So if you're here, please drop a comment. Um, Let us know your name and your location. It's very, very important that we understand anyway. Even if you are not in Nigeria, you have a business in Nigeria, this is for you. So it is not a location-based kind of thing. Wherever your location is, as long as you have a business in Nigeria, oh yeah, begin to tag and tag and tag and tag and invite as many people as possible. All right. I know Rosemary is also trying to put it all around right now, but I think I'm actually going to, you see all this broadcasting, uh, it's money that I'm always looking for. Money. Money is always looking for me. I'm not the one looking for money. Oh. Money is chasing me. So I'm always ready to receive that money. All right. We're going to get started. Awesome. Before I bring my guest in, the beauty of this is that the video is going to be on YouTube. So because I know a couple of people reached out yesterday and said, oh, why did you put that time? It's going to be middle of the night in the US. It's going to be this. We cannot always consider everybody's time. The good thing is that there's a replay, so you can always catch that replay. So we're just going to get started. In case you're just joining us for the very first time, good morning. This is the What Tribe community. My name is Kiki Okewale, and I'm the founder of What Tribe. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to this morning's webinar. Trust me, I did not want to get out of bed. Like, I'm still sleepy. I'm still sleepy. But when I remember that the government is not sleeping, I ran out of bed because I need to understand this thing. So, for those of you who are new here, What Tribe is a community. Rosemary, we have some people joining from Zeros, Gyros, Jata. Okay. She's joining from backstage. She's not supposed to join from backstage. So she's joining from backstage. Please make sure you give people the right link, right? So that they can join where they can drop a comment. Because she's not able to drop a comment here. A comment is going to go to the speaker's comment. So please make sure, except she's from Sis Adeyinka. I don't know, maybe she's let me bring you
Need
upstage.
one for the public. Not
All right. You're going to tell her to share you the link for the public, right?
for the public. I think that must have happened using.
All
I
right.
simply
Okay.
just used the link I
All
have.
right. That's fine. All right, that's fine. I mean, the truth of the matter is, it's not like backstage can accommodate people. It's just that their comments will not show on the stage. It will be a private chat. So I'll keep her here for now because I don't want her to go so she doesn't miss out on the information. But Rosemary, please share. She already left. Rosemary, please share the link so
I'm
she
bringing
can
it
bring
down
in.
from my what do you call it
But if
now?
you bring it down, my concern is, are they going to see the new one as quick as possible?
Uh, let's try.
All right. Okay. All right, guys. So, um, if you're just joining us, like I was saying, this is the World Tribe community. It's a community of women who have come together. We've come together we have a common goal to create a safe space, right? And to foster growth is as simple as that. Create a safe space, foster growth, support each other, and share real strategies that help us thrive. And that's why we're having such a gathering today, because we want to help each other grow. We want to hold each other's hand. We want to support each other. That is why we are here. We look for opportunities, we look for information, and we share. All right. We're here to learn, to exchange, and lift each other higher. It's a free community, it's not a paid one. We just want to create a safe space for women. So today's webinar is titled Tax and Wealth Building. Tax and Wealth Building. Thriving where others retreat. This is a conversation that matters because understanding your finances, making the right moves, and building wealth is not something you should ever do alone. I'm thrilled to introduce our guest, Adeyinka, who brings both experience and insight to this discussion. Adeyinka is a development specialist, business consultant, and certified financial education instructor with nearly 2 decades of experience across access to finance, financial inclusion, SME development, and entrepreneurship. She has worked across sub Saharan Africa, including with the World Bank Group, IFC, and continues to empower women and youth through her work as the founder and executive director of WISE Network Foundation. Today, she's here to help us understand how to take control of our finances, use tax strategically, and build wealth, even in environments where others might hesitate or retreat. Did I not tell you I was about to retreat? And then she said, come back here. No retreat, no surrender. You have to understand it and you have to be compliant. So, Adeyinka, it is an absolute pleasure to have you with us this morning. Welcome to World Tribe. And thank you so much for accepting to do this because you could have been anywhere else this morning, but you choose to be here. I don't take this for granted. I'm truly humbled. I'm truly honored to have the gift of you. And thank you so much for always willing to share from your wealth of knowledge and experience. Thank you so much and good morning.
Good morning, sis. How are you? Thank you so much for
I'm
having me.
well.
And thank you also to everyone who's joined this morning. Absolutely. It's an interesting time to start a webinar, but it's also a good time to catch ourselves very quickly. Reason being that the government is not, it's not a case of the government is not waiting. The document has been signed into law, right? The bill, it's no longer a bill, it's a law, and it takes effect in how many days now? In less than 20 days. And so there is no excuse in law. That's what they say. And taxation is your responsibility, is our responsibility. So we are not going to be able to say it. Good morning to every single person who is watching and joining us wherever this morning across the world. It's an absolute pleasure to have you join us. My name is Adeyinka. I am everything that you've been told and much more. And I look forward to learning from you and all of us rubbing minds together this morning. I've been given an uphill task to talk about taxation, the new Nigerian Tax Act. NTA is not Nigeria Television Authority this time. Nigeria Tax Act 2025 that's taking effect in by January 1st, 2026. And I'm supposed to look that to the fact that we're entrepreneurs and also that there are people wearing double hats who are employees, and at the same time find a loop with it in how we can join or build wealth. That's a big thing I'm supposed to do in 1 hour, but I will put my very best foot forward and hope that we can achieve as much as we can in the shortest possible time. So thank you so very much for joining me this morning. Um, I would first of all like to say that I use the word uphill tax because we are trying to, what do you call it now? We're trying to review a document that's about 596 pages. So that's going to be absolutely impossible to do this morning. I mean, 100%. So I would recommend that people who are here, I will talk about it later, would follow my Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook pages, Adenka underscore AADE. From Monday, we do a rundown of this as well as the opportunity, because we're also going to touch a little bit about planning. And I have a quote I say, what you don't measure cannot gain momentum. What does not gain momentum cannot be multiplied. Very simple. So if you cannot measure or you cannot track or you cannot find out how this year 2025 is trying to end itself in your hands, I have a doubt in my mind that 2026 will be anything different. Some people this morning might have heard a few, maybe some people have been in my space before and they've heard a little bit about what I want to say. But now the question, or in another form, the question I have would be, what would you do differently with what you want to have? Because, like I mentioned, the Nigerian Tax Act is a long document. What I've tried to do this morning is to bring out a bit a bit of that document such that we all can be able to see what is possible out of the document, and then we can stay with each other as much as possible in the coming weeks to be able to see how best we can learn going forward. But what's most important is your mindset. And that's where I'm going to start this morning. Your mindset about this tax issue, your mindset about life generally about itself. If you come across anybody in the world and they tell you that they don't have challenges, don't believe them. They're big time liars, right? But the difference between the people who go ahead to do great things for themselves and those of the people who are out there right now is what we do with our mind. What happens right in our mind, and the practical ways in which the habits that we pick and set up to do this. I want to start very quickly. I'm a Christian, and so the even the other holy book has something to do about this. So your responsibility is to go find. Now, what I want to say is that there's a certain parable in the Bible that speaks about when the tax collectors came to Jesus and asked him that him and his disciples needed to pay tax. He did not fight about paying tax. In fact, there was no reason to have that talk or a second thought about it, because it was what is expected of us as citizens of wherever it is that we live. So, taxation is not a punishment, taxation is your responsibility. Since the advent or the release of this NTA, Nigerian Tax Act 2025, and the fact that we needed to position for it, I've heard quite a number of people talk a lot about how are we even supposed to do this in such an economy to do this. I beg to say that in this economy, this same year, we've had people who have done times double, tripled their income as business owners and their income as personal people, individuals. Now, the question is, what are they doing differently that we are not doing? And I beg to say that what they're doing differently, simply put, is that there is something about their mindset, just like my sister said. And she says, I'm not running after money, money is running after me. Now, that is where it starts from the beginning of who it is that you think you are. I have long slides, 1 hour, almost half an hour gone, and I'm going to absolutely run through it so that we can have time to take some questions. So, very quickly, is disruption is your passport to partaking in profit distribution. Disruption is your passport to partake in profit distribution. And the reason I started with that is that all of this tax thing now looks as if what's happening? The economy, I mean, the projections say that what do you call it? Inflation rate has come down. But you see, the goods and services in the market have not got, they don't have that memo yet. They're waiting to get the memo. I made a joke and I'm like, oh, maybe they took night bus or maybe their flight was delayed. But that is the reality of it. But it then looks as if, in the midst of what we're trying to deal with as a country or as a people, I mean, there has been global economic recession in the last 2 years, 4, across the world. Nigeria had a peculiar situation because of its peculiarity. Right in the midst of this, some people are doing the kind of income and revenue that they have never done before in their lives. What is different? It is what they are seeing, it is how they are positioning, and it is the mindset. I'll say one more thing before we move. Turbulence is your opportunity to thrive. I hope someone can hear me. Sis, can you hear me? Are we audible? Am I audible? I believe so.
Yes, we can hear you, sis. Go ahead.
Excellent. Thank
We
you
are
very much.
taking all this in, and I'm enjoying myself and trying to, sink it in. Talking about
Yes.
mindset.
So,
Also live on Instagram.
yes.
So we have many people listening in. So yes, go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. I wanted to be sure about that. So,
Yes,
turbulence is
thank
your
you.
opportunity to thrive. And that simply means that in the midst of everything, the your power that you have to be able to control how you perceive things, how you think about things, and the opportunities you think are possible. I'm going to roll down very quickly to my slide, and it says that your mind is the engine room of either success or the other part or the other side of success. That mind is where your thoughts happen. It's your idea factory. It's where the reality of every part of your life, not even your money alone, is formed. The Bible says that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And talking about the money part, Robert Kiyosaki says that before you can transform your wallet from poor to rich, you've got to be able to transform your spirit from poor to rich. And that simply ties together to say that your identity, who you become, how far you can go beyond every single kind of challenge that you come across is dependent on the kind of mindsets that you have. Already, some people have logged out from making anything different or outstanding in 2026. Why? Because they legitimately have challenges, but we have people who have bigger challenges than these people, who are forming new ideas, who are positioning and saying to themselves that irrespective of what life throws at me, I'm going to make the best of the coming year. And I'm going to, today is the 13th of December, 2025. There are people, some of us, I'm part of them, who are still, we haven't wrapped up the year. Yes, we are in a balance mode. And this is what I teach in my community. And I say, balance mode. What's the balance mode? We're trying to wrap up a few more success stories for the year in the midst of all the challenges. And we are also trying to set up, orchestrate together an outstanding year ahead by planning for that success that we want. So I'm going to run very quickly away from mindset, because what you believe is a form or a function of very many things. However, let's run quickly before we go into that other part. I thought to say that before the tax, and then we will talk a bit about the tax. I said tax is your responsibility, it's a legal obligation, and there is no excuse in the eyes of the law. And I also want to say that if you live and work in Nigeria, you're not, yes, you have to be concerned about this. If you run business in Nigeria, you have to be concerned about this. If you don't live and you don't work in Nigeria, but your funds find a way to get to Nigeria, either to support people or to do something for yourself, then you still need to be confident about this. I had this session sometime in a church recently, and someone asked me, oh, I received a lot of money on behalf of our aged mother. It's not his money, but the money comes into his account from siblings, and she doesn't have a bank account, right? And now he's going to be subjected to tax for money that is not meant for him. On the other side, he also has siblings that he's building for back in Nigeria, and they don't have bank accounts here. However, the money comes to him. So that's why I said that irrespective of what it is, you have to be concerned about this. Very quickly, a little introduction, and I'll delve right into it. So June 26, 2025, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu signed 4 tax bills into law. Very quickly, the Nigerian Tax Act, the Nigerian Tax Administration Act, the Nigerian Revenue Savings Act, and the National Fiscal Responsibility and Debt Management Act. 4 of them. And simply put, this tax act is coming and is going to be effective January 1st, 2026. And there is no hiding place for anyone. But first of all, talking about mindset, I want to tell you to please take it easy, because there is no, what do you call it? There's no rocket science about it. And we will try to unpack it in just like 5 or 10 minutes as much as possible. So the aim of this tax act is both to help businesses, small businesses, at the same time, also help the government. Someone's asked me an interesting question, and he says, "Oh, it was a she this time," and he says, "What exactly are they using the tax for?" I said, "Well, until you run foul of the law, you would remember that that is not the first question you need to ask. The first question you need to ask is, how do I position to be able to earn well in order not to be bothered about the taxation? Because, like it or not, you are going to pay that tax. We are going to pay the tax. Everyone is going to pay that tax. And so that's why I started, first of all, with the mindset. The aim, or some of the aims of this, is to help small businesses, like I've said. And how is that? To reduce multiple taxation for businesses, because the Nigerian Tax Act itself, which is one of the tax laws, what do you call it now, is a combination, or it repeals, by the time it comes to effect on January 1, it would repeal about 25 to 27 existing tax laws, about 27 existing tax laws. You don't need to bother your head about that. Yes? So now, what are we going to do about it? So it is part of the aim is to reduce multiple taxation for businesses. So if you've always paid tax, actually as a business person or as an employee, then there's really nothing to fear. There's nothing to worry about, because initially all and the entirety of your income, except some allowances, have always been subject to tax. Now we have a progression in the tax, and so according to how you earn, you would be able to save on some taxes. I believe that very strongly. Another aim of this is to help to expand the tax revenue net for government. And how do they do this? This is an interesting statement I'm about to make. One of them is through accountability. And what do I mean by that? Our online, tech, virtual, remote workers are now going to be subject to taxation. That wasn't happening before. And somebody asked me, what's Nigeria even trying to do? I said, if you're an American citizen and you reside in Nigeria, and you carry your ID and you reside in Nigeria, your country, which is the United States of America, I'm using that, gets a portion of your income that you earn right in Nigeria. That is what the Nigerian government has not been doing or implementing or following through, and which is part of the reasons why the Tax Act is here. There are quite a number of parts in this Tax Act that are not new, right? But the enforcement, the way of enforcing it is going to be different going forward. So, and it's also another, what do you call it, opportunity or benefit to small businesses, is that it makes tax remittance simplified. We have a lot of people, it has happened to me before, where we paid multiple taxes. And the moment you remit tax or to a tax authority, say for example, LIRS, it becomes impossible for you to get that tax. And if you are being audited, or our wonderful tax people come to your domain, you are going to pay that tax again, because ignorance or not knowing exactly where to go is not an excuse for you not to pay the tax. So the Nigerian tax law, like I said, is a combination of about 25, 27 existing laws, and they are going to be repealed by January, immediately NTA comes into tax. Ease of tracking. Now, this is an interesting part people have shouted a lot about. Ease of tracking for government and for yourself, because your unique ID, which is your tax identification number, and your NIN are going to be required to operate your bank accounts from January the 1st. So I know that there are people here who have had emails from their banks saying that upgrade or update or your TIN and NIN, and you have to do that very quickly, because you probably already have them. This is a way of ease of tracking and harmonization for the government. Ease of remittance also, it reduces the cost of you trying to, because now there are online portals, once you register for a TIN, for you to be able to remit the tax. So it makes life easy instead of trying to find yourself physically in a tax office, the time and the stress you could have used to make, progress in improving the operations and making more money for yourself. So those are some of the, what do you call it, advantages. This is me trying to summarize as much as possible some of this. We will go to some figures that may not be. And like I said, if you are here, you could just follow from Monday on my social media platforms, Adeinka_AADE, we're going to continue to post this until the new year, the different parts of it, so that you are more enlightened, even though we will take your questions today. Business, some of the business, it provides opportunity. What are some other opportunities for small business owner? Business incentives. Now, for example, newly incorporated businesses can get up to 1 year startup tax credit. Yes. So if you're new, you're about to register your business, it helps also. This also is to encourage organizations to become more structured. We talk a bit about the structure. Then it provides some 2 year tax holiday for sectors that are priority. As I'm going to jump and interlink all of my slides, because yes, they are. You can't see them, so it makes it even more interesting. If you work in sectors where, as as a business person, we'll talk about know your numbers later, but these are some of the things that you should do. Either you work, already run a business, or you are about to start a business. The budget of your country should be an interest for you, not exactly maybe how much they are using to renovate Aso Rock, in this case Nigeria, right? But what budget has been put in terms of the sector in which you work, and if you're a consultant or a vendor, the sectors that is priority to the to the government, such that you can be able to take advantage of some of the opportunities that will show forth there. So it's not a case of they've budgeted how many billions now, 50 something billion, and there are many economists or political rivals who, or stakeholders, political stakeholders, who said, why are we borrowing so much to fund such a bloated 2026 budget? Now, your interest as a business person is to go find your sector in that budget, see what the priorities of the government is, and see how you can position for them. We're going to say practical ways to thrive in the end, and this is one of them. So, number two is that we have reduced tax liability, either as a small business owner or as an employee. Okay, so this is easy. The qualification or the of a small business now in terms of turnover has increased, therefore making room for us to have reduced tax liabilities if you run a small business anywhere. So the threshold used to be, if your turnover is from whatever 1 naira to 25 million naira. However, now you're categorized as a small business if your turnover is from 1 naira to 50 million naira for small businesses. You don't get to experience the percentage 0 to 25 in increasing measures. You don't get to pay tax until your turnover exceeds that. And when you exceed that, you begin to move it in increasing measures. We will talk about figures on some other lines. And now I've spoken about the fact that SMEs can file taxes using digital platforms. So why am I bringing out some of the benefits to you and also to government, so that you see that it's actually not a gloom day? Is not a gloom act altogether. It also provides opportunities for small businesses. So SMEs also would enjoy capital gain allowances on their production equipment. That's big grammar. So let me break it down. Yes. So assuming that you have a production equipment, Fabric Global, Printing Global has production equipment now, and you want to, either you are selling that equipment or you're just acquiring that equipment will be able to enjoy some capital gains allowances, you know what it is. So instead of paying taxes on that sum of a percentage of those production equipment, now it is easy for you to be able to reinvest some of your money back to growing your business. So it provides an opportunity. And then businesses that earn below 10 million naira are now suspended from paying some local government charges. I mean, this was a thorough concern for people. If people who operate in spaces or businesses where they get harassed by some local government officials, now what you need to do is to know your right as a taxpayer as much as possible. Now, what we're going to do in the coming weeks, like I said, follow, is that we're going to keep breaking this down as much as is possible. And it has helped. The Nigerian Tax Act helped to harmonize or streamline and clarify which taxes, the more goes to the state government and which goes to the federal government. Like I mentioned before, a lot of people have paid double or triple, or just, in terms of having made that error, and then now they have to correct it because you have to pay tax. And so it's congratulations if you've been paying tax before. Congratulations if either as a business person or a person. So one of the things that we'll talk about later is how, for example, in terms of increasing percentage on you, if you earn from your annual salary, for example, all of it, the 12 months put together, is 800,000 naira and below, you at the end of the day are going to be exempted from paying personal income tax in terms of payee, right? We'll take it from there. Why? Because then from 800,000 per annum now, going forward, that amount starting from 801 up until 5 will then be tracked at the tax at the age at the percent of 18% on what it is that you earn. So that's it, because for most people who are working right now, except for the ANSIs that are tax exempt, what's happening is that you are being taxed on all of it, irrespective of whether. So you find people who earn as low as 500,000 naira being still having to pay that tax, and that's I think that's a good consideration for what it is we have. I'm going to run very quickly now. Types of taxation. Company tax. So CIT, company income tax. Let me quickly go to it. If your company is earning global income, you are liable to earn 0% or to pay 0%, between 0% and 30%, depending on your sector and depending on the sector and your turnover. So it's not a general whatever, but it's very important that you understand understand your business. And that's why this tax act, one beautiful thing that, like I say, is that it's going to make a lot of people to be able to look back, take a step back, review your business, reorganize your business, and arrange or be able to look at what your operations should be. It's a good thing because all of us can then now be able to position our businesses better. And under company income tax, development levy is 4%. Chargeable gains is 0 to 30%. Let me give another example about what we mean by chargeable gains. Chargeable gains could be on what you earn on some investment, yes. However, for example, if you were not registered, let me use in this case an NGO, because sometimes it's straightforward for people who run businesses. But again, it could be for an LLC, limited liability company. You run a business and your business has absolutely nothing to do with selling cars, but you have fleet of cars that you probably use for your business, registered in the name of the business, and you want to sell the car. Now, the proceed from the sale of that car is subject to charge to capital tax, and therefore, depending on how it falls and the kind of business you run, chargeable gains are taxable for companies between 0 to 30%. So types of company taxation, I'll list it. Company income tax, personal income tax as either pay as you earn as an employee or as a sole proprietor or a partnership, also as chargeable gains as much as possible. But as a person who is under personal income tax, chargeable gains ranges between 0% and 25%. But as a company, ranges between 0% and 30%. Yes. So some of the type of company taxes are called hydrocarbon tax as well, withholding taxes. We'll talk a bit about that. And then value added tax, so direct taxes, company income tax, personal income tax, carbon tax, hydrocarbon tax, withholding tax. Those are direct taxes. Indirect taxes are value added taxes, stamp duties, customs and excise duties as much as possible. Okay, so I'm switching. Okay, so here we go. Please hold on 1 second. I'm moving my slide very quickly to give a bit more details on what it is that we have. So yes. So entities that are exempt from tax, very quickly, small companies are exempt from tax depending on the turnover, like I mentioned. Individuals that earn below 800,000 naira are exempt from tax. Once you earn one naira above 800,000, then you're subjected to a percentage of your tax. Then NGOs and charitable organizations are exempt from tax. However, you are still required to do your annual tax filing. That's usually very just a token amount that goes into that. Then free trade businesses that operate in free trade zones or that have productions that feed their businesses from free trade zone. Everything that supplies, assuming that your all of your business does not operate in the free trade zone. But if you have inputs that are manufactured in the free trade zone and your books are intact in terms of that, then those operations in the free trade zone are exempt from tax. So we've spoken about this. I've spoken about these percentages. So withholding taxes, there are different percentages of withholding taxes, and those percentages are some of the things we're going to do going forward in the coming days. However, so between the withholding taxes, let me give an example of withholding tax. I'm a consultant and I have trained, say maybe for what tribe now. And assuming that I'm going to be paid for that training to maybe staff of what tribe, right? I am going to include value added tax. You charge value added tax on your invoice. A consultant, an employee, please, the attention now will be paid on the fact that your invoices, what's the most important thing you need to do or you need to learn in order to position yourself on the right side of the law? Ensure that your documentations are always up to date. This is the era where you cannot provide service to someone and not give your invoice out. You cannot buy anything and not get receipts for them. These are the times where you want to do that. So even for taxation that are required at the end of the year, ensure that as you're receiving, either you have an Excel spreadsheet, or if you do not have one currently, you open one and begin to log the amount, the purpose for it, and the time, the date when you received it, the amount, the purpose, and the date when you received it. Why? So that it is easy, either you're hiring the services of an auditor at the end of the year for that one. However, it makes it easy for you to be able to put it together, whatever it is. So when you are offering service, please charge your VAT. And when you are paying, so what tribe wants to pay me now for my consulting fee, I have added my VAT at 7.5%. Yes. Now, what tribe is going to withhold as a service now 5% of that invoice. Now, the beautiful part of people who run small businesses is that if you're a vendor or a supplier to a big organization, the law does not takes off the responsibility from you to withhold or to remit the tax. So if VAT or withholding is on your invoice or receipt that you're charging, assuming, let's give an example now, that UBA, Fidelity Bank, if I'm giving, offering a service, right, to them, and I am giving an invoice, they have the responsibility under the law to ensure that that tax is remitted. I will get a receipt of the remittance. So that's why I said you always have to keep track of what it is that you are paying out and what it is that you're receiving. Because should it be that for just a random search, you are asked to, can we please check your books? You are sure that everything has been done. And even if at that point you don't have the certificate of the VAT or withholding tax that has been done on your behalf, you know who to ask very quickly off the top of your head. So 0%, 10%, either for resident or non-residents in Nigeria, they differ. So I'm not going to bore you with all of this. So now, if you are a non-corporate resident and you are a director, some part of what you have is also now is in tax before, like I said, is now going to have a bit of some increasing. Compensation. So if you compensation for loss of employment. So assuming that you lose your employment and you're being paid a severance package, if you're a non-corporate recipient, which is an individual, then you are not subject to taxation. Yes. So we would have this going forward. Persons that are required to make withholding tax deductions, I've mentioned that already. There are bigger organizations who do that. So as a small business, focus on how to improve, to run, to scale your business, and not on the fact that, what do you call it? You are bugging yourself about how to remit withholding tax or how to put the VAT. The bigger organizations will do it. All you need to do is request for your receipt, so long as your invoice is carrying it. So please pay attention to that. Okay, this is also about the withholding tax, and you shouldn't bore yourself about this. So I'll read this. A small company and an unincorporated person, small company, in the eye of the law, if you have a business name or sole proprietorship, you are termed what do you call it? You are taxed as a person. Let me give an example. If I run a limited liability company, I, as a person or director or a staff of that limited liability company, is going to pay my payee on my salary that I earn or on any director earnings that comes from that organization. And my limited liability company is going to pay company income tax as well. However, if I run a business name, my personal, what do you call it? My personal annual review is going to be used as that for the business in the same vein, right? So if you provided a supply for someone, or the value of a transaction is 2 million, right? The company that has that equivalence is exempted from deducting withholding tax. So if you do, like I gave an example of providing a service, if that I'm a small business and I am, what do you call it, a personal individual, I'm an individual, and the transaction amount is less than 2 million naira, then I'm exempt from paying withholding tax. It's a lot of what, but as we go and you open up your mind to it, no, you don't need a PhD or an accounting degree to be able to understand this. So I hope we understand and we can keep our questions as much as possible. So the timing of the deduction, they vary. So for FIRC, which is now named as what do you call it? The law also changes what do you call it? The aiming of the tax as much as possible. So we'll talk about that. FIRS now becomes Nigeria Revenue Service. So it's no longer going to be FIRS from January the 1st. So for remittances that are going to the federal government, yes, by the 21st day, which is in withholding or VAT, it is expected that the big organization, I'm not going to spend so much time on this in hope that, there are people who run small, medium enterprises on this call or will come across it. By the 21st day of the following month, the person who has withheld that withholding tax or who is deducting the value added tax is expected to return or to remit back to the coffers of the government. And if you are an employee and you deduct pay as you earn from your staffs by the 10th day of the next month, so if you are deducted for November, by the 10th day of December 2025, you are supposed to have remitted that to the state revenue service of where that employee works from. That's how it works. Okay. Then other transactions that are due to the state government are expected to be remitted by the 30th of the next day. Don't give yourself a headache about this. We'll keep breaking it down as we go. Okay. So deduction of tax at source, according to withholding tax on this, is that there are what do you call it now? There are services that are exempt from this: airline tickets, internet data, telephone charges. All of those have been sorted by what do you call it? The service providers. Yes, goods supplied by a manufacturer. So if you are the manufacturer of a product and you supply that product to me, for example, right? And you have paid taxes with on those goods that you have manufactured. There are some kind of taxes withholding that I am not supposed to charge again when I am selling either as a wholesaler of your product. I'm using myself so that it's easy for you to understand. I don't call a third party to do it. Yes. So then commission that is retained by a broker collected. So I'm collecting money on your behalf and I'm retaining the commission is exempted from those kind of taxes as well. So indirect taxes, right, that are exempted from value added tax. So if you work or your business works in this area, there are value added taxes that you're exempted from. Baby products, locally made sanitary towels. So this provides opportunity for people who thought about doing some businesses and who thought about the opportunity of doing some businesses in some locations. Then you see that there are some exemptions on VAT or some kind of taxes that should make it easy for you to operate businesses going forward. So you are exempted from value added tax if you have baby products, then locally made sanitary towels. We have people who are doing that. Shared passenger road transport like Uber service, yes. Assistive devices like hearing aids, wheelchairs, braille materials, and all those kind of stuff. Then interest in money or securities, yes. Some and of this, I know that it's an interesting thing for my community or this community because, yes, there are some, what do you call it, investments that have always been, what do you call it, exempted from some taxes, and there are some that are absolutely doing from the taxes. So there are some interest in monies or securities are exempted from value added taxation. And many times we already pay some of these taxes and we don't even know. But because now when you blow something up and everybody's attention is on it and we tend to do it. So we find a lot of people who are going to gravitate away from some certain asset classes because they attract a bit more, what do you call it now, taxes. For example, treasury bills. Yes. So there are some whose taxation or whose deductions are not so much. For example, if you ask me again, mutual funds. That's not the only one. There are some investment products that have absolutely no taxation. If you speak to a financial, an investment consultant like myself, you can absolutely plan your finances, investing in insurance products and using it to also get income and run your business. I've always said that, insurance is an understated generational wealth creation tool, financial tool that people don't talk about. But we are going to now visit it and talk about it as we go on. Yes. So let me differentiate. I've mentioned about purchase by approved entities in free trade zones. Yes. So I have mentioned that purchase by diplomats are exempted from value added tax, not the others. Okay, so I want to differentiate very quickly between products that are exempt from tax and those that are zero rated. Because now I'm going to say that zero rated items have some 7.5%. Now, what you mean by zero rated is that that particular thing, it's subject to Okay, that particular thing is subject to taxation, but it's currently being charged at 0%, meaning that that law or that clause of that act could change in the future and have you now paying a percentage tax. But once you say something is zero rated, it simply means that that thing not is currently being charged at 0%. However, it is not exempt from tax. Exemption from tax meaning that it is not liable to pay any tax at any point in time. Okay, so non-oil exports, goods and services have they are zero rated. We have books and educational materials from and that are related also to tuition fee for nursery, primary, secondary, and tertiary education, agricultural seedlings and seeds. Yes, and locally produced agricultural chemicals. Some of us who also run are into animal husbandry would also be able to, what do you call it, get some form of zero rate on the items that we work on as business people. So please do not get yourself overwhelmed by this. I've said the very first thing that needs to be done as we continue to learn on this to ensure that your documentations are always in place. Okay, so other levies and taxes and levies that local government usually do is we need to know how many percentages. We know market taxes, tenement rates, motor parks levies. I want to believe that there are some people on the call who would come across this and will discover that they need to deal with it. However, there's some of these also that the Tax Act already makes. So whatever kind of tax that you pay, as we learn over this time, know what percentage you are liable to pay and know the ones the authority, either federal, state, or local, that is has the a responsibility to that for you to remit it to. Yes. So relevant tax and authorities, I've mentioned them already. From the federal, is currently
Can you hear me, sis?
yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. I've been trying to talk. I don't know what the network has been doing. I've been
Oh
trying to
wow,
talk because this is a whole lot.
it's a lot.
my uh, my my brain is doing, and
Don't let it
I'm like,
do.
if I feel like this, I can only imagine
What
what
would happen?
other people are feeling.
Okay.
And I know that there's still a lot that you need to share. And I'm glad that you mentioned that on your social media page, various pages, you're going to be dropping information from Monday. So I want you to always mention, the name of the pages where we can get the information. But because of time, I
I'm going to
think
wrap up tax
I would
right
like
now.
to ask some questions. Yeah. I would like to ask some questions. So I don't know if you want to wrap up or you want us to ask some questions that you can fit into, as you're answering the question, you are using it to wrap up and take more questions because for a couple of people who have reached out, for you to even understand all of this, there are some basic things first you need to understand, right?
Mhm.
And the first one is business name and limited liability. Like, I cannot count the number of people that have reached out to me asking Kiki. I'm like, the blind cannot lead the blind, though, because I, I have no clue. And I'm in that position as well. I have business names, honestly. And everyone is saying, like, so many people have even called me, oh, uh, go and move your business name to a limited liability. I'm like, you can't just say that. I need to
Mhm.
understand.
Mhm.
So the question is limited liability business. And now for me, I'm going to use me as an example. And if you're
Mhm.
watching, we have many people watching on social media and on
Mhm.
YouTube and here as well. So if you have a question, it's a good time to ask. Because for me, in my head, I'm like, me, I've never charged anybody VAT before. Me, I'm just generally selling my thing. I'm a business name, and I have no clue what. Let me just say that. I, let's just say I'm just starting a new business because I would say that I've never understood it. As a matter of fact, I feel so bad because until last month, actually this month, I had to go for a retreat, and part of the things we had to bring was our numbers. But
Mhm.
there were lots of things we had to bring. I,
Mhm.
I have never sat down with my numbers the way I sat down with my numbers this last month. I mean,
Awesome.
yes, every day in my business I get a report. Every week I get a weekly report, and every month I get a report. But I'm talking about looking at my COG, looking at my cost, looking at my EBITDA, all of those, me too, I don't know, looking at all of those things and having to look at, are you even profitable? Your revenue is not the money. I
Yes.
mean, I looked at it for the very first time. Like, it's not about your revenue, it's about your profit at the end of it.
Perfect.
So, what am I trying to say? Is it a bit, should we go and run? So, I know you would not just say yes or no. I know you will explain it. I know you. But a lot of us are having that question. Should we go and, or if you are earning XYZ, stay in business name. If you are earning XYZ, run to limited liability. Because for me, there's one thing I don't want. I don't want to default. I
Mm-hmm.
do not want to default. I do not want any wahala with the government. Because the reason why a lot of people used to run, tax people will just come and slam you. You are owing 10 million. Hello, gone. How much is the business making?
Yes.
So I'm hoping that this time around, all of these things will change, that a government tax person from LIRS will not just look at you and say you should be paying this amount. They look at you and somebody looked at me and said, you are something's wife. You should be paying. I don't understand. How is it? Is money a transmitted disease?
Is
I,
it?
I don't understand, you know. So please, if you can help us
Okay.
first on that, because we cannot understand every other thing if we don't
Yes.
even know where to start from. A lot of us, truthfully, in Nigeria, um, unfortunately, we are clueless about some things because there hasn't been laws that enforce all of these things. We just do however we like. I'm guilty. And I'm
Okay.
asking, like, all my businesses are business name. I had a limited liability before. When they wanted to keep me FIRS, then here I went to shut it down, like, hey, Joe, please. So please enlighten us so that, these questions can help even expatiate. A lot of us here are SMEs.
Yeah.
And, I
Okay.
hear you. If you make 50 million and below, you are not. But what if you make higher? And if you make even below, should you remain a business name? I'll leave that to you. I think you understand where I'm coming from. Thank
Yes.
you.
Okay. So those are loads of questions in one heartbeat, but I trust you to be able to take that. Let's please quickly go to know your numbers. And that's the first thing that hits me. This end of year, I've had a request of someone because of this tax law, or some people to say, can you please teach us, or can you do a webinar to teach us how to understand our numbers? I honestly have a full December. But on this call, if we have 10 additional people who are going to join those people, we may have, it's going to be paid, ridiculously discounted, but we will see it. However, I'm going to just list a bit about how to know whether your business is profitable. It's not going to be hard. You can just keep it. Okay. So, first of all, is the fact that many small and medium enterprises are not profitable, and the owners of this business do not know because they are actually not tracking the numbers. Number one, one of the reasons, or one of the good things about this new tax law, is that is making everybody sit up to go and look at the structure and the systems that we have. Forget the big names when we say structure and system. Now you've asked a question about the one of the ways to structure business is to segregate or differentiate it between a business name, a limited liability company, an NGO, limited by guarantee, and the different types. Now, no, if you run a limited liability company, do not go and open a business name. If you run or you have a business name, do not run. I'm using the word run on purpose now because we are all running. Run to go and open a limited liability company. Why? The first thing you need to do is to first understand your business, where it is right now, and where you want it to be. Because if your limited liability company is not making up to the threshold, it still is not going to be taxed from that point. So now the point is, if your business name is making more than what a limited liability company is making, you are still going to be taxed from that point of your turnover and how much profit that's your profit. Now, the question is, what should I do? I cannot, it's not a general question. There is no one size fit all for that question. The first thing that I need every business owner to do is to quickly put pen to paper. Unfortunately, most people will not be able to do it. Why? Because most of us don't even have a track of what the figures in the business are. Let me quickly try to run down on some things or how you can simply come about an income statement, what we call profit and loss statement, just to have an idea whether your business is even making. Now, you cannot even decide that if you had not been tracking, as simply as having an Excel spreadsheet. And what I mean by that is you don't need to know how to plot the what do you call it? The formats to be able to calculate that for you. Just knowing that at this point, I bought goods worth 5 million naira. I sold all of that batch for 6 million naira or 3 million naira. And this is how much I have paid in terms of rentage, in terms of transportation, and in terms of staff cost. You see, I didn't say too much. Assuming that we track these things little by little. And that's why they said it's easy for you to put a system to your business. When we say put a system, we're not saying go and copy what Dangote is doing. No, you're not in that space to do that. However, in your little space, something, oh, we don't have money to buy a software. Nobody is asking you to do a software. Just pick a simple Excel spreadsheet. If you can't calculate by it yourself, it's okay. So pick an MS Word and do a table and know that this is how much you bought this batch of whatever. This is how much rent you have paid this year. You're going to pay, if you're in your income statement, either for the month, you break that amount into 12. This is how much salaries that I paid this month. Someone asked me before, I don't even know how to tax my whatever. We can do an Excel spreadsheet customized for you. So all you do is to just plot your figures into it and do it. Yes, it comes at a token, but that's just by the way. Let me reel for you the simple way to be able to calculate whether you make, let me just look at an income statement. You calculate, very easy. Number one is that you mentioned revenue. Revenue is a total sum of how much money has come into your business for a certain period. It could be a week, it could be a month, it could be half year, it could be quarterly, it could be per year. I'm saying that on purpose because revenue is not what you call it. You can decide to run, and the more you try to track your numbers every week, you start getting used to it, and then you can track it monthly as you go. Rome was not built in a day. If you were not tracking before your numbers, there is no way you can begin to track it now. Now, I had this slide that talks about tracking your numbers, but tracking your numbers in terms of an SME, in terms of financial management and investment, and in terms of an employee are 2 or 3 different facets to it. So as a business owner, everything that comes to your business is a revenue. So put that at the top. Now I'm trying to just run through. The first item is called revenue. Everything that comes. Yes? Then the second item on that your profit and loss, or they call it income statement. Here in this terrain in Nigeria, we call it income and loss statement. Now, the next item which you deduct is called cost of goods sold. COG, like you mentioned. COG is everything, every cost that you used in producing that particular item. I'm going to use your business, for example, right? Now, assuming that you bought fabrics, plain fabrics in bales, said them, the cost of that fabric, the cost of the inks, I don't know what it's called, but I'm using you as an example. The cost of the inks that you used in printing on that plain fabric to make it what we want to come and buy from you. You would add it as part of cost of goods sold. The cost of transporting that, what do you call it now? The fabric itself to place where it's going to be sold is part of your cost of goods sold. Now, per business, cost of goods sold is going to be different. That's why now I was hesitating in saying, okay, especially because of this tax regime, if we do have, and I'm going to leave that or people to reach out to you, if you do want us to have something next week is full, but if we have to have it on how to really sit down with these numbers, very simply. But I've given an example of cost of goods sold. Now, when you add that cost of goods sold together, say maybe over the last month, let's say, for example, you deduct it from your revenue for that particular month. The revenue, so let's do it on a basis of a monthly. This revenue figure, let's say 5 million naira. I may forget the numbers as I'm calling them, so don't let me call the numbers. So put a number to it by yourself. Revenue is X number, 5 million. Cost of goods sold, assuming that it comes to maybe 2.2 million naira. I would forget those because I'm not writing them down. Cost of goods sold. So you remove cost of goods sold from revenue. What you get is called gross profit. Profit without operating expenses. Remember that when I put the items under cost of goods sold for you, I didn't put, what do you call it, rent inside. No, because the rent would most likely cover other things and it doesn't cover just for that month. Excellent. So now what you have arrived at now, revenue minus cost of goods sold, is your gross profit. I want to make it as simple so that even today, especially for people who've been tracking their numbers, you can sit with yourself after this session and try to track it. So we have gross profit. Now, under gross profit is you need to deduct your operating expenses. Operating expenses can include things like this: salaries of your employees, rent of your space. So, for example, if this income statement we're trying to prepare is monthly, you need to divide that rent that you have paid by, what do you call it now? By 12. Let me quickly chip this that if you own your building, you need to be able to factor out how much that business should be paying in rent or how much people who rent something like that are paying. So you know whether your business is actually making profit or not. When you own the building, you also need to pay rent to, yes, for that building so that it helps you to be realistic about your figure. But in this case, assuming that you pay rent. So now you put a figure, because I can't track. Under your operating expenses, there will be staff salary, there will be rent in there, there will be maybe cost of sales and marketing, right? There would be admin expense like maybe data, internet, diesel, excellent. Those kind of stuff are under your operating expenses. And beautifully well, it's easy to calculate diesel per month. So if you're doing that. So items like that, how much it cost you, which is sales and marketing, to advertise that business. Many people don't include it in their businesses. And so they're running businesses. And because revenue, like you said, is coming in, they think they're making money, but they're not. So all those items that I have just categorized, like salaries, like rents, like diesel, cost of sales and marketing, what do you call it now? Admin expenses, whatever, will come under operating expenses. So we had got gross profit before. When you add all of these other things, and your operating expenses is going to be different from another or every other person that is sitting on this video, either hearing us live or listening to it again. So now everything that comes under your operating expenses, you deduct from gross profit, that gross profit that you had arrived at before. And then you come to profit before tax. So as much as possible as a business owner, try to factor in every expense that you incur in the cost of running your business. Those ones will come under operating expenses. You will then come to profit before tax. Now, when you get to profit before tax, it is that figure that is subject to taxation that we're talking about today, not the entire stuff. And so the government does not expect you to pay tax on the cost of how you have run your business. So now, when somebody looks at you and say you're the wife of somebody, or you're so loud on social media, Inka, you're too loud on social media. By the way, one of my goals for 2026 is to stop being the best kept secret. I've been that for so long. So as a business person, put it on your head. I just thought to chip that in. So now that taxation is on your profit before tax. That's what that one is called. So simply put, revenue minus cost of goods sold gives you gross profit. Gross profit minus operating expenses gives you profit before tax. Right. A total summation of your operating expenses, like you know, is called total operating expenses. So once you take operating expenses out of gross profit, you come to profit before tax. It is that figure that is liable to taxation, not the entire stuff. So now when somebody looks at you, and this is where we should change ourselves as business owners. When somebody looks at you and says, oh, you're what, whatever it is in their head that you're what, you make them, you become a victim because you also don't have any records or figures about your business. Light bulb moment. But when you have your documentation, even if you have to look for a consultant, like some of us or whatever, to say, I have my figures, I have all of this calculated, I just need somebody to sit with someone on my team or to sit with me and be able to run through all these figures or be able to run through our statement and put this together. Then you have removed yourself, excluded yourself from the list of people that are victims to tax. I dare to say that some tax officers actually do not even understand what, but you have made yourself vulnerable by not keeping your documents. Remember when I was making the presentation, I said one important thing in acing this new tax regime is to ensure that you have three things: documentation, documentation, documentation. It's a different thing that I have documentation, I don't know how to put it together or make a statement out of it. And it's an entire ball game and altogether to say, I do not have my documentation. And what I mean by documentation is that, for example, depending on the grade or the size of your business, there are some things you buy that you don't get receipt for, but you have transferred it from your company account. Put a description on that transfer and put a record of it on a Word document or a table or an Excel spreadsheet so that whoever is coming to help you, nobody has asked you to become an accountant overnight, but we have asked you to keep an eye over your figures. A lot of people, so profit before tax, and you take out taxes from it, that is when you come to net income. Right. That is when you know whether you are making any profit or you are just playing the game of stomach infrastructure. It is one of the very crucial ways that we need to thrive, even assuming that the tax act is not coming into play, but it's coming at a beautiful time, the end of a year, so you can sit down and actually analyze. You don't need to move from business name to LLC. The first thing you need to do, aside from trying to run an income statement to see whether you are actually in business to make profit or you've been making losses, and the cash flow is deceiving you. Cash flow is simply put how money comes in and goes out of your business. And if you're not putting an eye on your figures or trying to track them, you would not know whether you're making profit just by looking at them. One thing you should do as a business person is that as you try to put these things together, figure out based on how much your organization makes. Some people don't pay themselves salary. So they pay themselves based on, oh, I've done so much work for this company this month, not knowing that the company cannot afford to pay them that much. Another light bulb moment. So your child wants to buy shoes. I'm talking because we're women. And your child needs that shoe and it is valid. Then you just go into the company account and you say, please help me transfer it and take it there. Meanwhile, the company actually doesn't have money to run that. You're already running on a loss. But if you don't put your books together, how are you going to do it? I hope that we got that simple way. It is as simple as that. Now, what makes it a bit complex for people is the things that come under their operating expense or their cost of goods sold. That is the simple way to calculate an income statement or a profit and a loss statement. I hope I answered that, or it is. If you have a question, please also post it. Since what there were many questions you asked all together, I want to unpack them one after the other. So please do let me know what other question I have not answered in the course of providing some clarity to that.
Thank you so much, sis. I think you started well. So that rush and that run of moving from business name to limited liability or from limited, I mean, we have clarity now. We have clarity that
Please
it's
let
not about
please let me
running
just
elter
let me
skelter.
just let me just
The
add
number
it
one
one more
thing is,
time. Let me state it one more time. Every business owner, you have a responsibility between now and Christmas, before you get into the grind of Christmas, to sit down with your business and see where it is, an assessment of your business in terms of what it makes, naira and kobo, in terms of where you want it to get to. Once you have those two,
mm,
you gradually begin to figure out in between. If you run from limited liability company, we're not running businesses to stay small. You are starting your business small, your business is not going to remain small. So when you start with that mindset, I want that mindset to change from stomach infrastructure to wealth creation. Change it from stomach infrastructure to wealth creation and stay where you are and start to figure out. By the time you now want to figure it out, the truth of the matter is, if you've not been doing this, you would need some help. That's the truth. If you figure this out and you say, oh, I think I rushed or I didn't get an advice and I shouldn't have registered this business as a business name, I think I'm at a point where I can do limited liability company, then I will do it. Why? For example, there are some contracts you will not get if you are a business name. There are some supplies you will not be able to do if you're a business name. So that's why I said you cannot box yourself. It's a business name. Let me stay so that if I don't make up to 1 million or 800,000 per annum. But who wants to make 800,000 per annum? I don't want to do that. You don't want to do that, I know. So now the point is, let me give an example. You get to a point where when you are a big player in your industry and you get good financial advice, you can then dictate what happens. I'll go overboard. If you live in Lagos, you will find some roads that are constructed by Dangote Industries. You can get to a point, write for permission to the government. You must be a big player to do that. And say, this our tax. We would like to use it to do X and X. I'll give just one example, and I'm not going to go more because of our time. The road that was constructed, or that is currently that we're applying from the airport, Bagada Woroshoki Expressway, for example. There are
yeah.
loads of them also in Kogi. It benefits businesses or his business or some other things that he does. And so that money was not because government could not do it. And there are also projects like that that you can do. So now that's why I said sit and see where your business wants to go. I don't want to be part of the people who don't want to pay 800,000. No, I don't want to earn 800,000. But because you or most of us are not used to paying taxes, you look at it like that. And that is the mindset. Once you sit in that place, you will now unconsciously start playing small with your business. I want your fabric business to be paying big taxes. It is how much money you make that will make you pay big taxes, and then you can be able to make how much. But guess what? Also, in terms of taxation, there is a way you can structure your staff payment to yourself or salary or investments that your organization can make and you can still be able to save back without paying some of those things, maybe by taking some investment products. It's not every investment product that is tax exempt. So at some point, you would need to sit by yourself to determine what you want for yourself and that business. That's the starting point.
Thank you. We have a question, and thank you so much for responding to that. Um, please, Ma, I see a lot of people selling Excel spreadsheet templates. Is it something to buy or just use Word documents? Um, for your numbers, I mean, I don't think Word documents is a recommendation, but I'll let the experts respond to that. I also know that our guest speaker here has different templates that simplifies all the things that you need to do. And that's why it's very important. Please let us know how to find you on social media, LinkedIn and everything. And also maybe walk us through the kind of documents you have to simplify things. Because honestly, a lot of people do not understand, this revenue, everything. And that brings me to my next question, I believe is in the mind of people. You've explained your revenue, you've explained the net income and everything. You've also tried to explain so many things about the tax. If you're earning salary of 800,000 and below, you don't get to pay tax. If you're earning 1 naira to 50 million, that's annual, right?
As
You don't,
company turnover.
yeah, yeah, company turnover for a year,
Yes, 1 year.
not
And
monthly now. Ah.
no, that's for a year.
So, so if you earn, let's say for example, as a company, business name or limited liability, you are making 200 million in a year, for example. What we then want to understand is, okay, one naira to 50 million, you are exempted. This figure to this figure, this is what percentage you pay. You've also explained that this is based on your profits, your after your
Mhm.
operating expenses, your profit before tax. That is what is taxable. But
Not your
based
entire
on
revenue.
figures, not your entire revenue, based on figures, how much do you that because this 50 million too is based on figure. If your profit by before tax is 50 million, that's when you get to pay tax, right? So
That's
what
why it's called
percentage
profit before tax.
yeah, so if your profit before tax is 100 million, or what percentage of tax do you then pay? Those kind of information, I think, is what, hey, we've spent 1 hour, 30 minutes, Lord,
Yes, we have.
and we are just scratching. We have not even scratched the surface.
Yes.
We need to make
So
this a series.
yes, we will. And then that's why, this is why I'm going to come out of my shell. I was in hibernation trying to do some things for myself,
Yeah,
ready
please, we
for the
don't
new
want you in
year.
hibernation. Thank
But
you very much.
so we're yes, so we did have a series of some training behind the scenes on this particular stuff on financial literacy. And so we need to put, every single day, in fact, more than once or twice or three, four times, tips so that people can pick it. So now if you make more than 250 turnover in LSC, you're going to move to 18% tax, not on your entire revenue, but on the profit. It is
Okay.
when, so you discover that when you have taken operating expenses out, total operating expenses, that's where accounting calls it, what do you call it? Profit before taxation.
Tax.
So it is on that figure that you then apply whatever percentage of tax that is relevant to you. I beg to say, I think my social media handle should be showing right in front of me here. On all social media handles, I've tried to change all these things, but I think I prefer the uniformity. Yes, my full name is here. All my social media handles, this is what I bear. Only LinkedIn that doesn't have the underscore. That's all. Adeyinka Ade. So if people do, sometimes when I make quotes, then I write my full name there. Yes. So now it's not the same percentage for everybody because we are making different things. So
So
what
they
we
are
would
not a
now put
category.
out, yes. So what would,
Okay.
and the category is dependent on the amount that your business comes to in terms of profit before taxation.
Tax.
That amount is what will determine the percentage that would apply to
Mm.
you, whether it is 0% or it is 18% or it is 15%, right? Or it is 25%. Yes, that you would pay. And then, so you will then decide on what based on that figure. So now you have just made, yes, that series was going to start, but now we are going to we're going to sit with it, or I am going to sit with it to ensure that we can have at least 4 or 5 things going out on Monday so that people understand how to. Yes, please, before I forget, let me answer that question about the Excel spreadsheet. I have Excel spreadsheets for sale and they work. Before you have or you are able to do a software or afford a software, there are Excel spreadsheets that come with pre-included formulas that can help you to make your life easy. However, it is not all Excel spreadsheet formulas that may work, but they are broadly usable. For example, I could have an Excel spreadsheet. I don't like Excel spreadsheets for income statements or balance sheets. Yes? Because if the person mistakenly moves or saves that Excel spreadsheet in another format and some figures or some calculations shift, right? Then there is not going to be quote and unquote some accuracy. So that's why I rolled down just those few whatever. The truth of the matter is anybody preferring an income statement, what I said before in terms of your revenue minus cost of goods minus operating expenses is that's all you need to do. The only difference is what comes under your own cost of goods sold is different from what comes under my own cost of goods
Mine.
sold. What you comes for you as operating expense is different from what comes for me. We have people who run businesses who don't run diesel. Your organization runs diesel. And so part of your
Absolutely.
operating expense is your diesel expense. Most organizations, except if you are a solopreneur for now, and you would improve. If you put these simple things in place, you are just setting yourself up to grow the business, right? So if you're a solopreneur and you start to pay yourself a salary, you don't have to pay any, it's only your salary that's going to feature for the month on as salaries. But for those of
Operating,
us
yeah.
who have other people, yes, that we pay salaries, then you need to do this. Now, another thing that comes under salaries is what am I going to put as salaries? It's not the gross figure of what is on somebody's pay slip that goes under your salary, because you understand what I mean. However, for
Mm.
the business sake, that's why I said cost of goods sold differ from business to business, operating expenses differ. But once you can get those basic, like 5 subheads, that's all you need to prepare an income statement. You find some people's income statement very long. It's because their expenses are longer. The cost of goods that helps them to manufacture that thing, there are more items under it, and simply put, that's just it. So
Mm.
Excel spreadsheets work if you're sure that the calculation fits your business. However, if you can afford it, speak with a financial consultant, someone who can be able to. And then the good thing is that there is a likelihood that it's not just your business that is going to be spoken about. It's not just the taxation parts that is going to be spoken about. There are other things you can discuss that helps you to position yourself very well. So like I mentioned, if the people who want us to do a handhold on income statement or balance sheet and a few more on taxation for the year, if we get 10 more people today, I hesitate to agree to it, but we will do it before Christmas. After Christmas, we're not doing any training or whatever as much as possible. So I hope I answered that person's questions, because aside from our own software that we do, I also do Excel spreadsheet for myself in terms of staff deductions. So what then happens is that you have that ready. You just need to plot, assuming that me as a staff, I would just plug my gross pay into that place. I plug my gross pay and some other features that happened. I don't do this myself, but it is my own way of checking that the pay stub that an account officer has brought to me is correct. I don't
Mm.
have to do it every single month. But again, as a small business owner or even a mid business owner, we have people who do a lot of turnover, but they don't need a large number of people to work with them for now. And so you can make it simple, simplify it by yourself. And once you have that, you don't need an accounting degree to be able to do it as much as possible. It makes life really easy. Yes.
Thank you so much, sis. I think yeah, you did answer that and a lot of other things. Um, so a lot of business entrepreneurs run away from consultant because it kind of looks like there's no package for SMEs, right? So I don't know. I mean, I don't know about you. I definitely know that I need a tax consultant because yes, money loves me and I love money. But sometimes some things can become very cumbersome, especially when you're busy trying to run the business itself and trying to, fit so many things. But I know that personally, as a person, back in the days, I tried to work with consultants. They call figures like you are Dangote and you're like, the business does not even, cannot afford the kind of money you're calling, and it makes sense, it's justified. I mean, you're an expert, you're and all of that. But just like influencers, sometimes you realize the money they call. If somebody tells me, let me post your thing and I want to charge you 5 million, I'm like, how many clothes will you sell with one post? Do you understand? So sometimes you realize they charge SMEs like big conglomerates.
Mhm.
And your reason for doing that is justified. However, yesterday I ran into a video that people were commenting about this particular guy is a consultant and it teaches customer service. It will come teach your staff. One of the things I saw a lot of people commented was that he had packages for SMEs. And so even as a
Oh,
small, medium
okay.
business, you're able to still afford him to come and train your 2, your 3, your 4, your 5 staff without breaking the bank. Now, I don't know the packages you have, and I'm asking on behalf of myself and a lot of other people as well who would need a consultant because honestly, it can be a lot. I'm not going to lie to you. Like,
It is a
I
lot.
know that I pay payee. I know that I pay payee for my staff on a monthly basis, right? I know that I pay personal tax. I know they
I
are
hope you
always
remit.
saying,
Do you
what you
remember
are
to
paying,
remit
what
me?
you are paying. No, we remit on a
Okay.
month. It's
Excellent.
monthly, right?
Excellent.
Is
Yes.
it yearly?
No, it's monthly.
Yeah, we remit. Yeah, we remit. You even start seeing the message coming. You have not remitted for this. I'll just make sure that. So we
That
remit.
is
But the
done.
point is, so mine is personal income, right?
Mhm.
We're always
Mhm.
fighting about how much they think I should be paying. And me too, I will
Mhm.
just pick a number and say, this is how
Mhm.
much I'm paying. I just
Mhm.
will go back and forth. And at the long run, because at the
You
long
are
run,
increasing.
you're not able to, yeah, because sometimes, and I'm saying this with all, I don't know if how I should say it. Sometimes they will say, this one goes to government, this one comes to me. I'm like, I'm not paying you my money. I'm not. And that's why a lot of people run away from this kind of things, honestly. But thank God that things will be well structured, even from the government side. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm praying
Yes.
and hoping that they will follow through with this is what it is, and this is how much it should be. And it's not one person telling you to pay a particular amount. But I know that I need help. I have different companies. I have different staff. I don't know. I've never charged for VAT. I've never, there are so many things I've never charged for. Now, how do we start? That is why I know we need help. Another thing in my head is that from January, will they start with haunting us or will they start with a clean slate? Is it going to
That
be a clean slate or it's going to be like for 200 years? You have not done this. Or will it be that, you know what, we wipe that clean? And from January, we are now starting afresh because let's know if we want to jackpot now because we don't understand. So,
okay.
uh so
Number
that's my
one,
question.
it is extremely wrong, and this takes me back to one statement I made earlier. for a tax officer to ask you to make payment to them aside from the fees that they charge you for their services. And do you know why we are the ones that enable them to do that? We have no idea.
No documents.
You don't, you'd have no document. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be saying this, but do you know that there are people who run businesses that don't have statements to back them and they get some tax certificates? That's why I dropped my voice on purpose. Now, the point, I'm going back to my normal voice, yeah, because now we enable them because we also don't have a clue. There's a difference between I don't have a clue and I don't have my documents. Now, from
Mm,
what you have said, you have your documents, you have a track of what you do. All you need to do is somebody taking a statement of your account and sitting with maybe somebody on your team and saying this. And many times, if you put descriptions on what you have, or you collect receipts for the things that you buy, if it is something like there's some things that are under petty cash and the amount
yeah,
is small. We call it petty cash and the
that
amount is small.
vertical.
Most times, because of the amount that it is, attention is not going to be paid to it because it went into a petty cash account as a whole. And then you
Yeah.
have a list. I bought 5 Seaway bottles. Somebody gave me an invoice somewhere, just a tiny receipt. It's somewhere there. And then even if you think, at the end of the day, it's not going to be useful, somebody can just scan it somewhere and just keep it. And
Mm,
the important thing is we did this, we have a record of it, right? We did this. The only bad thing is when you withhold or deduct a tax and you don't remit it, right? You then get to pay a penalty on it. But everything else, if you're going to call a consultant to look at it, you already have your documentation. It makes life easy. If they say, this thing I want to do it, and you sit down. Even big organizations, and we used to work in accounts. When the auditors come, we sit with them, we bring the books out. That's auditing. And then they ask questions. What is this for? What is that for? What were we supposed to do? Now, this is you asking for this as of a consultant. So let me answer. Just like you, I have a million and one things to do, right? But number one, I have SME packages for training you on having a system or a structure for your business. I
mm,
have SME packages for, I personally, I don't even do my audit myself, but I have SME partners who charge affordable. And when I mean affordable, it doesn't run you into the millions. And what we try to do, and then it depends on your business. Because when we call it SME package, the first thing that goes into that is KYC. What do you do? Currently, how much do you think your company, so that you're not just giving somebody a bill that is unreasonable to what it is that they do. And many times, some people think that auditors or accountants are, what do you call it now, magicians. You produce the
mm,
book, you will be the one to go and take a track. Many times, some people don't even need your receipts. All they just need to do is cite that you have. All they need to do is go through the account statement. It will amuse you. There are many people who run businesses who have no separate business account from their own. So that then is another kettle of fish altogether. Yes. So I have a business, whatever, and then we are doing it and we didn't collect receipt, but you have a description. That is even a starting point. We are sending 150,000, 1.5 million, 2 million. You will just have a description on exactly what it is you're using the money for. So now,
mm,
because if we say we have X SME packages, and then somebody says, oh, we have this figure, and then they come back to you and you discover that what they have is a bigger problem. It's personal business account, but their personal account they've been using for it. That's a different kettle altogether. It still doesn't mean that you're going to be overcharged. So that's the reason why I'm not sure what it is that needs to be. And off the top of my head, I'm thinking of what yes, because there is a KYC to do. You need to know what this person does and what stage they are. And many times,
Mm.
because of the coming to that point, maybe that's why some people just charge, because you don't know the problem or the challenge or the state at which your
That
business
you
is.
face.
But yes, yes. So now what I would ask people to help me with is to say that what you have this social media handle, this particular one, not the business one. I respond, I handle this by myself. Yes. And especially when it comes to something that has to do with figures, I deal with it. So you please feel free to send a message and say this and this and that. And this is what we want to do. Or you could direct your message to Kiki Okewale or What Tribe Community and say this and this is what
Direct
I
it to
want to do.
Adeyinka underscore. I'm
On
dropping
what
it
on
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 the
So on
at
WhatsApp, I'm at
Adeyinka
underscore AADE.
underscore. I'm dropping it for
Yes.
people on social media
So the only
so that they
difference is
can
that
direct
on
you.
LinkedIn, there is no underscore, but that's exactly how it looks. On
Mm.
Facebook, I think there's an underscore, there's no underscore, something like that, but it's the same. Now you send
Yeah.
a message and let us find out exactly what, and please try to be a bit patient. Now, the question is, if you think you're interested in, how do we call it? I think we should wait on the social medias for the tips and further communication about these tax figures. Yes. So that we
Mm-hmm.
are explaining everything that I explained. We'll make it in bite sizes. Just put the figures. If you're earning this and this is what you should expect. If you're doing this or turning over this. But if you want to do a training on how to be able to put together an income statement for yourself or a balance sheet for yourself, that has to be a webinar. It cannot be on the social media handle. Why?
Yeah.
Because then we cannot take too many people at the same time, so that when somebody is asking a specific question about their business, then we can do. But if you think you don't want Gbogbo like some of us, you can decide to take a, what do you call it, a personal consultation,
One on
whatever.
one.
Yes. And no, I won't charge you as a small business into the millions. No. So you have that now. Let it be out there. Because why? We want you to be structured. You will do better. You will call us for bigger transactions once you understand these basic ones. Aside from calling us for bigger transactions, you will become bigger, and then you can say, oh, this organization or this person is the person who helped me to be able to. That enough is gratifying enough. And then for
Absolutely.
auditing purposes, you can rest assured that there are just a few SME auditors that I work with. And I don't refer people if I'm not sure that they will do that. And if you have any issues, if I've handheld you or handed you over to somebody, then you can bank on it that you can come back to me to say that, oh, this is. So as much as possible, whatever you send to me on social media will determine the response that I will give to you. My financial consultation is not free, but it is very, very cheap. I don't want to use the word affordable because it's relative. Maybe affordable is the same thing as cheap. I'm not going to charge you into your millions. I'm just going to first of all ask you. I have just, I think, 5 questions. What do you do? When did you start? How much do you make right now? What do you intend to do in business? Just simple. Just so that we have an idea of what exactly you would need, because it is on a need basis. Even if you and your twin run the same business, if I'm running the same business as Kiko Kewale, we are not going to have the same figures. We are not going to have the
Absolutely.
same realities. So it is extremely important that we do this. But for tax and all those Turenchi that we spoke before, rest assured that from Monday on all of these social media handles, you would find those coming out one after the other. And any questions you have under them, please ask those questions and be a tad bit patient for people to get answers back to you, because it's not like you're asking for all of this. So for SME supplies, or I'm looking for a customer, whatever, training for someone, if you need stuffs like that, in tailored to the SME, ask. If I don't offer it, I'm in this space and I know people who would give you value for
You
your
can
small
recommend.
money, yes, that you will get for it. So that's what I will do. We have
Thank
spent,
you, thank you, thank you so much.
you're
Oh, wow,
welcome.
almost 2 hours, and we have
Yes,
just scratched it. There's still a whole lot.
yes,
So please, everyone, if you're on social media, I already dropped her handle at Adeyinka underscore A Ade. Please make sure you're following her. If you're watching on YouTube, this is right on the screen. Adeyinka underscore Ade. Please reach out to her. Yeah, I just added her. Thank you so much. Yes. So please make sure you understand your numbers. There is no reason for you to run elter skelter. Kaye sare kiti kiti kata kata kiri. Because we want to expand. Don't
Yes.
try to dim your light because you don't want to pay tax. It's not going to do you any favor. The bigger you
Not
are,
at all.
yes, you will
The
pay tax,
better for
but it
you.
means you're bigger. It means you're bigger, the better for
Yeah.
you. And if you understand your numbers, you understand the structure, and you put a structure in place, you would have peace of mind. I mean, I'm talking to myself as well. I will have peace of mind
We,
because,
we learn
but
we
one
learn
thing
from
is
talking to other
certain.
people too.
One thing is certain, running from business name to limited liability to business name is not the point. Regardless of what category you're in, you will pay tax if you hit a particular number. If that number is supposed to be limited and they find you in business, you will still pay that money. If that's what I've gathered, though, I'm not a financial expert.
Yes,
So whether
because
you
it's
have
based on your
business name
turnover.
or so it's based on your turnover because some people are now saying they will charge you personal, they will still charge you business, they will still charge you. It's okay. Go and follow Adeyinka underscore A Ade to get more information. I personally will be reaching out to her for personal consultants because my head is doing bang, 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 and I need to understand it. So, if you know that you have the resources to get a personal consultant to help you look at your numbers, for me this year, I have my numbers because of the retreat I went to. Thank God for that. I will just send it to her and say, sis, oh yeah, what do I need? I'm saying it in front of everybody. Take it easy on me. Oh. We are still in our beginning phase for fabric printing. Oh. Please,
And we
so
want it we want it
so
to go hyper global too.
yes,
Yes.
so it will
Yes.
definitely go. But I just want to say thank you, sis.
Thank
Um,
you very
every
much.
time that I call, you find time. I don't take this for granted. I don't take you
All
for
right.
granted. I honor you. I celebrate. You. I thank you for sharing from your wealth of experience because a lot of times we don't have the knowledge that we need, and that makes us even more scared. I would be honest, I've been worried for the past 1 month. Everywhere you go is this tax thing. They are coming, they are doing, and they don't say it in a way that makes you understand. It comes from a place of fear. I can say today that my fear has reduced and I would be doing things from a point of knowledge. And I believe it's the same
Excellent.
for people who have joined. I know that we still have a lot of questions. I will still try to see how we can make this a series, a paid one, because I can't always say, come and do freebie. So if we can make it a series, maybe for example, people need a consultant, but they can't afford one off. Right, they can't afford one-on-one. But if it can be a group of 10, and you can say, okay, this is how much I will charge for a group of 10, and I will answer your questions, then we can find a way to make it work. If you know that you're interested, I mean, it's not that she has given permission, but I will sit on her neck to make sure that she helps us because some of us cannot just I will go on your page and look, but let me tell you, I don't have the
Fine.
time to implement it.
You when you ask questions, that's okay.
Time now water. So I would need, but if it's something you are able to do, yeah, AJK says good idea. Anit says I'm interested. So if it's something that we're able to say, okay, we're a group of 10 SMEs and we want you as our in-house consultant, we would I mean, for those that don't have their numbers, the guide on how to get the numbers, then look at it. This is how much you will pay. This is how to do your VAT. This is how to do your payee. This is how to. A lot of us don't have pension scheme, right?
Uh-huh.
We don't have HMOs for our staff. We don't.
Hmm.
So there are a couple of things that I know that is being government is really sitting on right now. Insurance for your staff is one thing that they want to also start implementing, right? And so what kind of HMOs can, all kind of things will come up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Blinky says, I'm interested, please, ma. Yes, so there are a lot of us that are interested. So I would reach out to you, sis, and you would let me know what you can do. We will put it out there and we'll try to, we would not make the group big because if it becomes too big, you're not able to attend to us the way you
You
should
want.
because too many questions and all, but we need to do this. But I'm just so grateful to everyone who has showed up for this webinar. Thank you for
Thank
believing
you.
that your business deserves this because your business does deserve this. Wherever you are right now is not your destination. You are on a journey, right? And you have to make sure that you prepare and equip yourself for who you want to become, right? And so we're going to stop playing small. We're going to stop running helter skelter. We're going to stop being a victim of representatives of the government because we don't have the knowledge. We have to equip ourselves, and it starts from now. So I know you have questions, but we really have to run. I have another appointment, and I know Six also has other appointments. It's Saturday. I do not have Owambe, but I have I have things I need to sort out. So I'm grateful, Six. I would be on your WhatsApp as soon as we're done here, just so that we can solidify, because January is just few days away, meaning that we do not have time.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Coach, for this opportunity. You're amazing. Mwah. Thank you so much as well.
Yeah.
Appreciate you all. And I would be back. I then the information I will still need to put it on Instagram because it's not like we have a group or something. So stay tuned on my page, so that when I put the information out, you can get it. And for those of you interested, you can join and we can make it into a small cohort, very small. Me, I run away from large group because women, our drama is too much. I nobody got time for drama, okay? So I, I, will, I will try to make it into small and I will be very selective. I will not lie. If you are a drama person on social media, you like to pull and drag and do everything, I will check your page. Imagine you are one of those people that are always abusing people. I will not take you because I cannot shout. Before they say it's Kiki that came and collected money, I'm not collecting money. Oh. We want to use it to get a coach to teach us and help us structure our business. All right, guys, thank you so much. Sis, if you have any parting words for us, now is a good time to do that. It's been exactly 2 hours.
Thank you so very much for everyone who's joined us, and we all don't take it for granted. We jumped up from our sleep, and the maybe lack of sleep, and we are here. One thing is, first, before I give my parting words, is if you think that you prefer to have a one-on-one session, get across and just give me a few of those whatever, and you might just be surprised that it would be something that you would be able to afford. After saying that, please also get across to Kiki and see if she picks you from this to be able to do the group. So the reason for group, or even if it's a one-on-one, is that depending on what it is that we say about what we want, there's going to be more or less like a group where we can ask ourselves, what stage are you? What do you want to do? I might be able to add an auditor right on the group so that we can get what before, even ahead of the webinar, so that we're ready. That is on it. My parting word is that stop playing small. And how do you stop playing small? Hey, my darling, I saw one of your laptop bags. I think I'm going to come for it. I saw your mommy marketing it for you. Yes, and I'm going to come for one of
She
them.
needs to
Well,
understand the tax thing too, because this one likes to make money.
oh, okay. Don't worry. We'll get there. Once you know it, you would get to her.
I
I'm
mean,
sure about that. So stop playing small. Don't be afraid of what you have not experienced. You asked me a question before. I'm going back to this before giving one particular thing, is that um, is the slate going to be brand new in the new year? First, what I would say is that do not let the fear of what you have not done hold you back from preparing for what is ahead of you. First of all, this tax act takes effect January 1, 2026. Your very first business in the next less than 20 days, I think we have 18 thereabout, your very best business is to do a scoreboard of where your business is. Many people want to
Mm,
do vision board for the new year. They don't have a scoreboard. You don't even know where you are. So how do you plan on zero? If you're starting a new your business, we understand. And then if you know where you are, do a scoreboard, review where you are. Then it makes it easy for you to pick lessons, and you want to also position very well with vision board. Without a scoreboard, a vision board is not going to work. Because again, the vision board you do for 2026 is what you're going to score at the end of 2026. And your vision board doesn't have to be always annual, but there has to be part of it that is annual, some biannual. Now, my parting word to you is, do not play small. Do not let fear cripple what you were, your greatness. Simple. Stop
mm.
playing small. Do not let fear cripple the greatness. And one beautiful thing that I think we need to appreciate Coach Kiki for is for putting or always trying to call people so that her community can get this. Yes. The reason is because a lot of us don't talk, because the fear, what if this business doesn't work? Oh, it's just
Mm,
a small business, it doesn't happen. My question is, what if this business blows beyond your imagination? And it starts with
absolutely.
your mindset. Anything that your mind, your perspective does not position to attract, you can never become it. Once it
Mm,
starts with your mind, I can become wealthy, I can become rich, I can run this business. These figures, I can understand it. You don't have to have a degree in accounting. No. The only thing that's required is just basic understanding of how this works. And once your mind is positive oriented, is success oriented, it is not on scarcity, then the sky is only the starting point. So erase fear, reflect on your year, and be honest with that your reflection that you're about to do. Look at the things that didn't work. Pick your end because you want to position for a good 2026 ahead. I look forward to seeing you in the new year, or in my DM, or in Coach Kiki's DM. Please go to our DM, don't come to mine. And
we
then
shall
I
not
was
wait
just,
for the
I
new
was
year.
just,
You
I
shall
was
be
just
stuck with us.
so we need to do this very quickly. If you come across this video or you are on this call, because next week have some days. Access Bank has something
Yeah.
to do, webinar speaking, and after that, it's
Oh,
my birthday. I want to shut down for the year. At least 1 week. At
yay.
least 1 week. So we
Happy
can start that
birthday in
YouTube
advance,
video
sis.
that people. Thank you. YouTube people have asked me, where aren't you? What? Why are you not putting this in on YouTube? I'm like, guys, where is the
You
time to even
should,
sit down?
honestly. I think
And they ask me,
you should work
where is
with
the
a
time to
video.
even record it?
You will create that time, sis. Because people need this. People, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I know how many comments here. People are saying this is what I need. Someone just said I needed this. Thank you so much, Mrs. K. People need this. People need this, and they need it from someone who shares this from a place of educating than from a place of fear. Honestly. So you need to work with a video, a video company. There's this guy, Video Bees. He does all this kind of thing. It will come. He can record your 20 series in one day.
I actually
And then
have a
you can
friend
now,
who does it. Hustle Africa does it.
oh,
Hustle Africa
something
does it.
Africa. Can
Hustle
you
Africa.
imagine? Oh, so
He
please,
does
you
it
need to,
very well.
because we can then go get the information, and it helps you as well, build your YouTube page and people can get information. Anyway, we'll talk about that one. You know me, I'm the ginger. I will push you to do it. You must do it
Yes,
by fire, by force. You will
we
do it
will do
because
it.
it's very needed. But I'm
Thank you so
grateful
much
to
for
you. Thank
having
you
me.
so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. And to our guest today, God bless you. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm
Thank
in
you. Have a
your
great weekend.
WhatsApp as we speak. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Have a
Bye.
good weekend. Bye, everyone.
So, bye. Bye, everyone. All right, guys. That was Adeyinka A. Ade. Make sure to go follow her page so you can get all the information. I will speak with her to know what the figure would be that she would. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't want more than 10 people. Um, Even 10 is large for women. Women sometimes we are dramatic. But let's see what she says first, and then I will get back to us. All right. Take care of yourself. Bye, guys. Bye bye.